Welcome back to Smart Enough. This is the second in a 5-part series about how to think through big decisions, using some of Canada's most interesting challenges as the case study. So today's question is, why do smart people disagree? Because if you've ever followed a debate about housing, healthcare, energy, infrastructure, education, almost anything, you probably wondered how intelligent people can look at the same issue and reach completely different conclusions. Now, it's tempting to assume that one side just doesn't understand the facts, but I think that's often not what's happening, because most public debates aren't arguments about facts, they're arguments about priorities. Let's get into it. Okay, imagine you're planning a vacation with a group of friends. One person wants the beach, another wants the mountains, someone wants a city, someone wants to save money and just stay at home. Nobody's necessarily wrong. They are just prioritizing different things. The same thing happens everywhere. Happens at work, in families, in communities, and in countries. We often assume that disagreement means that people don't understand the facts, but that's not always true. Sometimes people are looking at the exact same information and reaching different conclusions because they care about different outcomes. And understanding and acknowledging that changes everything. So, throughout the year, Young Canadians for Resources, our student leaders, they run a workshop on campuses across the country. We call it Build It or Block It. So we gather students from engineering or business, science, education, policy, other disciplines, you name it. And they are given a list of potential nation-building projects, just like the Major Projects Office. So sometimes it's a mine or a pipeline, a port, transmission line, nuclear power plant. Usually we try to, get a bit more regional on it. Anyway, each project comes with information about the costs, jobs, timelines, benefits, and challenges of those projects. And then we ask a simple question of the students. Which project should Canada prioritize? So they get to just choose one. Now, what's fascinating is that the students almost never agree. Same students, same room will choose different options in their groups, not because they're looking at different facts. They are all actually looking at the exact same fact sheets. But an engineering student might focus on the technical feasibility. A business student might be looking at, economic return. Someone from a rural community might be focusing more on jobs. Someone from Northern Canada might focus on connectivity and development. Someone else might focus on environmental impacts. The point is, same information, different priorities. And once the discussion starts, something interesting happens. Students quickly realize they are not arguing about whether a project is good. They're arguing about which outcomes matter most to them. So this happens in the real world too. Take the Port of Churchill. It's been in the news a lot lately, especially if you're following what's going on in Manitoba. Many Canadians have never heard of it. It is Canada's only deep water Arctic port. It's located in Hudson Bay in northern Manitoba. And the current premier is really pushing hard to explore this and expand it to the benefit of all Canadians. So now some supporters, like the premier, see enormous potential. They can focus on a stronger Arctic presence for Canada or new export opportunities. Some people prioritize northern economic development or just greater national security of any threat that might come over the top. Others look at the same project and focus on different considerations. Seasonal shipping limitations. Why would you have a port that only operates a few months a year? Infrastructure costs, the challenges of getting up there when it's very remote. Alternative investments, maybe the money's better placed someplace else. It's the same project, they have the same facts, but different sides have different priorities. And by the way, if you've never heard of Port of Churchill before or follow what's going on up there, great, that's a chance for you. Go look it up, read about it, see what arguments resonate with you, and then ask yourself, what matters most? Because that's the conversation happening underneath almost every project discussion in Canada. So here's something I've noticed. When people disagree about major issues, they often assume they're having a disagreement about facts, but many times they're not. They are, as I said, having a disagreement about priorities. They may agree on the benefits. They may agree on the risks. They may even agree on the goals. What they disagree on is which goals should come first. And that becomes a very different conversation. Most public debates aren't actually arguments about facts, even though that's how people debate them and argue them. That's how we try to win. But they aren't about facts. Like I said, they're arguments about priorities. So maybe the better question isn't who's right, because smart people can look at the same information and reach different conclusions. Maybe the better question we should be asking ourselves is, what matters most? Because the answer to that question reveals our priorities, and priorities shape our decisions. That's true for students evaluating projects. It's true for families making decisions. It's true for businesses deciding where to invest. And it's absolutely true for countries like ours trying to decide what to build. So as you go forward, keep in mind that understanding what someone prioritizes is often more useful information than knowing whether you agree with them. That's today's lesson. Next time, we'll explore another question that shows up everywhere, from family budgets to government spending to major projects. And that question is, why can't we just build everything? I'm Lynn Exner, and this is Smart Enough.